It's here! It's finally time for me to announce my main team for Madden 24 franchise. And I was going to say officially, but it kind of felt a little corny. I was like, actually. I don't know if anyone said officially or not. If there's other content creators, I'm not trying to throw shades. It's just, I've tried to record the beginning of this a billion times. I didn't know what to call it. But we have our team. It has been a team that I've been thinking about for a while, in fairness, but I do want to go into the other teams. It'll make it a longer video, in fairness, but because of that ad revenue, baby, what up? But more importantly, of course, more important than ad revenue, obviously, is the fact that we have a second team, right? We always do an online franchise, the Legacy CFM, if you are unaware of it. Where have you been? Although I will say it kind of ended early this year, and more importantly, EA cucked it by having their servers, corrupt all these files, and well, that's the reason why my game is $50 today instead of 100. Well, I should probably be an EA Game Changer as well. Let's get past the formalities. I have a bunch of other teams that I'm going to be looking at before we go in and talk about my actual team reveal, which if you guys just want to see that alone, just skip to the end of the video. It'll be the last team I mentioned. Maybe I'll even have a timestamp for it so you can ignore all this. But I do want to talk about some of the teams that were on my poll that were a little bit higher in the voting. And want to talk about why I'm not choosing them or why they might be a good candidate for our online franchise. The first team starts with the Packers, and I just think, as a Packers fan, maybe I'm just being biased, but I just think this team is still too good on paper to use as the starting team. I kind of based it off of counting the starters, in my opinion, of how many different teams have, players that are very destined to be good in Madden, basing them off their age, their athleticism, their potential development traits. And the Packers came in at about 17 starters, guys like Jair, and more than just starters, but long-term starters, Jair, David Bakhtiari, Jones, Rashawn Gary, Jenkins, Kenny Clark. Counted Devontae, but he would need to dev up pretty quickly because he is, I think 30 years old now. Rasul I didn't count. Dylan I did count, but he is a backup. Quay's busted. Christian Watson's busted with 96 speed at 6'4". Darnell Savage, very athletic safety, you could still use. Stokes is super athletic, could use him. Dobbs, I don't even know if I added to my list. Van Ness, Jaden Reed, Josh Myers. You got a lot of young players on this team with a lot of development. I didn't even put Jordan Love on my list. That's, I wouldn't say how deep this team is, but how not bad this team is. You just have a lot of young players that you could easily develop, and even though he's nowhere to be found, the tight end still counts as well. He was in my top 10, sleepers, rookie sleepers video. 66 overall, 87 speed, 89 excel at 6'6", even though I've heard he is really bad at catching in camp, kind of reflected by that catching rating. There's just too much talent on this team, I think, to choose. Then we move on to the Broncos, who I counted had 18 starting level talents. Obviously Surtain, Simmons, Judy. I passed Gregory because of his age, but he's obviously still a really valuable starter. Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams, Ben Powers, Garrett Bowles, Skip Jewell because of his age and slowness. Mike McGlinchey, Tim Patrick, and I think he just had was it him or was it Hamler? Or was it both? Torn ACL, I believe, which is unfortunate. But Zach Allen accounted because he's one of their bigger contract signings, and he does have decent ratings, and he's young enough. Quinn Miners, Russell Wilson, technically, because he'll probably still be superstar. And they got a couple of youngsters on here, like Baron Browning that has development. Hamler still has development. Who else do you have? Dulcich is tall, so he could be a guy. Caden Stern's very athletic. This is a team that is definitely not guaranteed to be passed on, but as of right now, it's probably just outside the top 3 for me. Nick Benito's another super speedster. It's not a bad team. It's not a great team, but it's kind of just 2 in the middle for me, maybe. I don't know, but it's on the radar. But the problem is, when I'm deciding teams, I really want either to have to find a new quarterback, find a new running back, or find new wide receivers or tight ends. And this team really just doesn't need much of that. So, maybe the argument of having to replace Russell Wilson probably, because unless you're going to cheat, like I said in a previous video of ratings, top 5 teams to rebuild / use, maybe check it out. It's a guy, you're going to lose him, right? No matter how well you play, he's not going to develop. He's going to only go down. He's only going to get worse, and you might only get 1 year with him. So unless you're going to fix him, which maybe you should, if he actually plays really well for you, he's probably a guy that you lose, so you could replace him, but the receivers are still pretty talented, and the running back is set. So, you win some, you lose some with this roster. It's on the list, but it's not that high. And then you have the Buccaneers, a team that I kind of just looked at the top-heavy part of it, and I was like, this team's too good. But then you look in the full depths of the team, and you're like, outside of those super beasts, it actually needs a lot. But I think the cornerstone pieces that they have in Wirfs, Evans, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield, Chris Godwin, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, some other players I'm pretty sure that this team has on defense. Shaquille Barrett probably not, but Devin White is a super beast user. Joe Tryon is usable. Kalijah Cansey's probably going to be star dev. Cade Otton's a tall tight end that you could definitely develop. Got a couple of okay linemen. Logan Hall's usable, a DT probably. It's up there. It's an okay team. I listed them around 11 starters, but the thing is they're very quality starters and future cornerstone pieces, so they're on the list, but they're definitely a little bit lower as well. And then now we move on to a team that has 16 starters to my calculations, but once again, lower level starters. Quentin Nelson, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner, Shaquille Leonard, top tier kind of cornerstone pieces. But then you have Stewart, who I counted, but obviously on the older side, Pittman, very limited in what he could do because he's not that fast. Kenny Moore on the older side, also short. Braden Smith on the older side as well, and not that good of an overall anymore. And then you look at some of the other players. Kwity Paye obviously has potential. You need a new center. Free safety, solid. He's young, but he's starting to get a little older for Madden's development because he's probably going to be normal this season. Julius Brent's very tall, but 88 speed is a little low, so maybe you get a speed or two, but not guaranteed to be the guy. And then looking at other guys, Josh Downs is usable. Nick Cross, obviously usable. Anthony Richardson is the main draw. And I think he's honestly the reason why I don't know if I want to be this team. It's because I feel like a lot of people are going to use Anthony Richardson, and I don't know how much interest there's going to be when everyone's using him. And I don't know. I just feel like it's not going to be as unique as if you chose a team that people are going to fall under the radar, like maybe the Patriots, which we will show next. So the Colts are up there. They're probably number 3 on my mind for the online league right now, but no guarantees at this current time. I don't know what current time is. But moving on to the Patriots, like we said, a team that's a little bit on the older side, and more importantly, on the slower side at a lot of positions. Judon's good, but he's on the older side. Duggar's good. That's it. He's just good. Onwenu's a little bit on the slower side. Bentley's older and slower. I think he's 20... I don't even know, actually. He's no younger than 27, probably 28 or 29. David Andrews on the older side as well, but his overall has been dropped over the years. Jabril Peppers isn't that young anymore. Either is Jonathan Jones. And when I say older side, I mean, you're not 24 or younger in the game. You're not going to really develop past a couple of overall points unless you're lucky. So that's what I consider. Trent Brown's on the older side, like I said, probably not a good finesse blocker, very non-athletic as well. Juju needs to be replaced because 87 speed is almost unusable unless you're a god at route running. Wise is on the older side for developing, so is Henry. Josh Uche, definitely a cornerstone piece of this team. Gesicki, usable, but you'd probably like to replace him. Ramondre Stevenson can be fun. He's not fully developed, but that position is kind of solved. Christian Gonzalez is going to be a freak in the game. Cole Strange, I don't know what that dev is going to be. If it's not star, you need to replace him too. Barmore at this point, probably 25, I think now, might need to be replaced. He is a pretty low overall for that age right now. Corners, you got a couple of guys, but I mean, you need a new quarterback. You could argue a new running back. Wide receivers, you need new ones. Tight end, you have value, you have depth, but you don't have a true X factor type tight end that can stretch the field. O-line is a lot of older guys that might need to be replaced. D-line, you can use a lot of pass rushers. Corners are on the older side. But then again, you have Christian Gonzalez and a couple of guys there. Safety could be used. Linebacker could be used. So it's a team that does have a lot of players needed. I listed, like I said, 17 of them. But a lot of these guys are on the older side. So of that 17, maybe 5 of them are replaced within the first 2 seasons. So they would be in the top 3 as well, I think. And then with the number 1 team for my online league possibly being the Texans. It's just a team that I listed at 12 starters. Laramie Tunsil, of course. Didn't list Ward because he's really close to retirement. Shaq Mason's one of them. Damian Pierce is one of them. Dalton Schultz I did not list. He's on a 1 year, not that athletic. Perriman I didn't list. Singletary obviously I didn't list. King I didn't list. I mean, you look at this team, it is still very far from a good roster. And honestly, if there's more interest in it on the polling system, that I had for the community tab, I might have actually chose this for my offline team, but as of right now, I would say it's Texans, Colts, Patriots for my online team, and then my number one team, which has been for a while now, for the offline is going to be the Chicago Bears. It's a team that I kind of wanted to get back to because I've never been able to use Justin Fields. I've never had a super speed quarterback out the gate. And this is almost, other than Anthony Richardson, maybe the last chance I'll get of a quarterback that isn't fully developed yet and it still needs work on a roster that is still struggling. Once again, this team was the number one overall pick for a reason. And even though they made a really good effort in the offseason, they neglected the hell out of the defense, and the receiving threats, there still needs to be upgrades there. I know they just paid Cole Kmet. He might be a backup for me because 82 speed is tough to work with. He's good, but I'd probably look for a new tight end. Running back, I know Khalil Herbert's not bad, good yards per carry guy, but maybe develop, a new guy there. Claypool, probably not going to be my guy. Darnell Mooney, probably the slot, but at best the slot. O-line, definitely some improvements, but still pretty low overall. Tevin Jenkins, don't know if he's going to be star, probably will be, but how high of an overall can he get to? I'm not 100% sure. Brisker's pretty decent. Jalen Johnson's pretty decent. I listed this team at around 15 starters, but they did put a lot of money into different positions that are going to kind of tie them up a little bit. So, if I were to recap this team, maybe a couple offensive linemen, running back or two wouldn't hurt, wide receiver or two wouldn't hurt, a new tight end wouldn't hurt. Quarterback, likely Fields long-term, but you never know if he struggles because I don't know what his throw motion is going to be like. Obviously, I'm not going to change any of that. But if it's bad, 76 overall, 24-year-old, he's getting pretty close to unusable, but I do expect a boom for him in real life. I think this could be a special year for him. But, looking at these passing accuracies, they're obviously usable, but you look across the board, there's a lot of rookies with similar ratings to that. So he still needs time to develop, and we could maybe make this team special. The team needs so much help on defense, and I wouldn't say it's even close to the worst roster in the team. A bottom 10, but not by like a crazy margin. They actually did a decent job in the draft of grabbing guys that are like Madden studs. They just need time to develop. So the division's not the toughest, but there is a lot of high-powered offenses, and this defense is going to suck early on. So I'm pretty excited for it, and I think the Chicago Bears are going to be my team. I really debated some of the other teams, but I just think the Bears, I'm locked in on them. It's been over 5 Maddens now, 4 or 5 years in general since I've done this team, and I think this might be the last chance to do it. I think the Bears are going to become a very solid team within the next, by the end of the year situation, assuming health is there. This could be a special offense, and the defense got a lot of new faces. The front four is iffy, but outside of that, this is a very sleeper squad. And I don't envision them being anywhere near pick 1 overall unless they decide to trade up with the multitude of picks they have. So this should be a really fun team. Justin Fields, can we turn him into a read option, very good passing quarterback, put up 1,000 rushing yards with 4,000 passing yards? That's where the next level eliteness would be lovely to see. Imagine the speed he has with some abilities. Could be finally a good quarterback that we use in an offline. But what I'm going to need is for the Bears to stop getting better. Is obviously they also signed Yannick Ngakoue. They now have Mercedes Lewis. I kind of recorded this a couple of days ago, and I didn't upload it right away because I was like, I don't know if I want to be the Bears right now. But looking at all the teams, I think the Bears are going to be our choice. A lot of fun developmental players, but also a lot of players to improve on. A little bit of speed lacking, so a lot of guys that you might think are long-term might be replaceable because of that. And it should be a blast, and hopefully we can get the Bears to the playoffs, maybe a Super Bowl. Let me know what you guys think. A lot of those other teams, like I said, could be for our online team, but the Chicago Bears are going to be the team we use for our offline franchise. Hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. And, keep the conversation going in the comment section below. Maybe leave a like. Maybe subscribe if you're new. Try to get this video kind of out there so maybe I don't get cucked over by another user, another, content creator. It's another reason why I kind of passed on some of these other teams at first. The Colts, Anthony Richardson, it's going to be a hot commodity. Same with the Texans. C.J. Stroud's going to be a hot commodity. Same with Will Anderson. The Panthers, Bryce Young is going to be a hot commodity. So a lot of these teams that are on my list are probably being spotted and eyed up by some people. So other than maybe the Patriots, I think this is a pretty damn good team to choose. Is once again, they need some developing. I mean, in the second page, it's 77 overalls, and their highest overall in general is an 87. So, a lot of developing needed. They spent a lot of money on some guys that I don't know how to feel about because, TJ Edwards, how's that going to work out? Might try to move on from guys like him or Cole Kmet, take the hit if we have to. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are excited. Maybe follow me on Twitter, Jeromepkr, second channel, PK Plays, for non-Madden content, which tomorrow might be some more zombies on the second channel. That's about it, though. Going to finish Miners franchise, playoffs on Tuesday. See what happens there. I haven't actually played it yet, so don't think if we lose, oh, you spoiled it. I haven't played it. I just mean finish it because we're going to finish it this week, which I have no idea what to upload after that. But that's about it. Let's get it. And hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya.